My name's Emmett Jordan, and I've been living in Greenbelt for 25 years. I moved here in the year 2000. I'm currently serving as mayor of the Greenbelt City Council. When I first moved here in the year 2000, I was working with the University of Maryland, and I was playing tennis on the tennis courts over here. I'd go to films at the Greenbelt Cinema, which was the movie theater that the city owns. I'd ride my bike around here and go to the gym. So I was very familiar with Greenbelt. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and studied urban planning, urban studies. And Greenbelt is one of 3 green towns from the Roosevelt administration. So another one is Green Hills, just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. So I was familiar with Green Hills. I knew a little bit about the history of Greenbelt. I was just very aware of the fact that there had never been an African American serving on the city council. The way that things went down in 2008 is they expanded council from 5 to 7 members. So a lot of my neighbors and friends started to ask me if I was going to run, so I gave it a try. Well, my career working with nonprofit organizations, doing development work in the nonprofit world, that's fundraising and external relations. So it helped a lot. I knew how to work with people on committees. I knew how to bring folks together to raise money around a cause. So I just had the skill set that just translated over to running for office really easily. Although a lot of the public part, public speaking and making speeches, that's not something that I had much experience doing. But when I was in college, I dabbled around in public radio on the college radio station. I was writing and reading these news releases. So who would have ever imagined that would be so helpful? And when as mayor, I have to read these proclamations and long things out loud. So that helped quite a bit. Oh, well, that's a tough question. So a great weekend for me might be on a Sunday, waking up and going over to the farmer's market and just talking to people for a while, getting some breakfast over at the food co-op. There are always great programs going on in the community center, so I might walk around and stop in one of the Artful Afternoon programs or a concert in the afternoon. And also on Sundays, I love playing tennis. So usually what I'll do is I'll play tennis from 12 till 2 with a group. We got this big group of tennis players, about 40 or 50 of them on a list. So we all kind of come out and play doubles. You know, I'm big into self-improvement. So, I cut the cable several years ago. So most of the time that I spend watching television, I'm watching YouTube. And I'm watching a lot of videos on how to do different things. I like working with my hands. I like building things. So, and I do like movies. I like Quentin Tarantino. I like some of his films. And the cinematography, I'm a sucker for a good movie. I love good cinematography, and the dialogue is important. Yes, I do. Just yesterday, I went to the spot that's in one of the high-rises, the large office buildings in Greenbelt East, across from Glenora. It's one of the medical buildings, but there's a deli in there on the bottom floor, and they've got the best sandwiches. They have a great Reuben sandwich, rice bowls, they have great breakfast dishes. Of course, I love all the restaurants in Greenbelt. I love the New Deal Cafe and Sunrise and Cedars of Lebanon, and Silver Diner is a great restaurant, but that sandwich shop and deli that's over in Greenbelt East, that's my go-to for a good breakfast sometimes. Very reasonably priced as well. I would go to the past, and I found just being on city council and public service, it's really fulfilling. It's not something that I thought that I would be doing, but in retrospect, I think I probably would have taken a different path, and maybe I would have pursued a career as a city manager. It's different than being an elected official, but running a city and listening, hearing people, and trying to make positive changes and bring resources in, it's a great calling. So it's not that different from my work with nonprofits focused around a cause. But if I could go back in time, and I'd probably, being a city manager or something. I think I'd like to have my guitar. I play a little bit of guitar. I've been doing it for years. It's very relaxing and focusing. So it keeps my mind busy. So musical instrument, music, cultural stuff. So yeah, guitar, maybe some artwork around, espresso bar. Oh, it's just one thing? Oh, that's a tough question. We deal with so many different items at the council meetings and work sessions. So the amount of time that it takes to prepare, though, is for me, is substantial. And sometimes I think people may not appreciate how much time it takes to respond to a detailed email. I'm getting about 100, 150 emails a day easily. So just managing all of that information, it's kind of hard. It's also fun. I enjoy being out in the community and going to a lot of different events. Well, I mean, it's a tough time in the world right now. It's a difficult time in Washington, D.C., the metro area, in Prince George's County, and in Greenbelt. So the biggest challenge right now is just kind of looking at the budget, looking at ways that we can sustain the programs that we have here in the city of Greenbelt, the programs and services, and at the same time trying to manage the impact of taxes on our residents. Yeah, well, transportation and connections has been something that I've been big on for the entire time that I've been on council, to actually to see the Buddy Attic master plan going into place. And with the armory, to actually acquire that deed and to have it part of Greenbelt is great. But I'm thinking of it, one of the things that we can do short term is we can kind of connect some of the pedestrian paths and bike paths to that area and make it easier to get down to the national park. And it's a great nexus point. I lived here in Greenbelt on council as mayor and ran for a couple of terms without having a car. And it's possible to do that in Greenbelt. It's about 5-6 miles around, so you can actually walk across the entire city and get around. It just takes a little more time without a car. I'm excited about some of the pedestrian and bike connections that we're looking at, and also having new members on council. Councilman Fritz, he's passionate about transportation and connections. So I think the group that we have on City Council right now is a very dynamic and powerful group. So I think we're going to get a lot of things done. I think I'm pretty informal, and I'm very flexible. I think that serving on a city council in the role of mayor, it's more important to listen than to talk. I'll put my own personal feelings aside in order to listen and do what's best for the city. But with our meetings, I think consensus is really important. So if someone does have a very strong view on council or in the public, it's important to listen to that view. And if it's very strong, you need to respect that. We get knocked a lot for having long meetings, and they are kind of long. But there's a balance that you have to have. Council meetings are not about being as efficient as possible. They are about hearing everybody out and reaching the best possible decision. The thing about Greenbelt, it's truly a mixed income community, and you hear a lot of towns talking about being mixed income. So we really do. We've got academics from the University of Maryland and engineers and rocket scientists from NASA Goddard living next to restaurant workers and service workers. And we're all at the farmers market together. We're all taking classes together. People with kids are in childcare together. So some of the events that we have are just only in Greenbelt. We had the Wild Rumpus for our Halloween festival. The Krampus ceremony. It's just really unique things. I don't really want to go on the record with this because I know it's very controversial, but I think that there may be several polls here. I've heard that at one point in time there was an electrical station where the fire station is, so some of the poles that are right around there have been there for a long time, and I really have not done the research, so the original, the quote-unquote original Greenbelt utility pole. It's iconic. I visit it there. Anytime someone comes to Greenbelt, I'll take them by and talk about it a little bit. But I think there may be some other utility poles that have some unique features as well.